They came with arrogance, certain that humanity would break at the first strike. To them, we were fragile, too weak to endure the fire of war. But when the smoke rose and the ground burned, they learned the truth. For humans, survival isn't just instinct, it is war. The Malarians had studied humanity with cold detachment, like scientists examining an insect colony. Their reports were filled with data about brittle bones, thin muscles, fragile organs, and short lifespans. By their measure, humans were a species destined to remain insignificant, bound to their small worlds, unable to compete with the engineered strength of galactic civilizations. They laughed at our weakness, convinced that we were soft prey. And when they finally decided to test the Federation's defenses, they came with fleets of steel and fire, believing humanity would crumble in fear. But they never understood what weakness truly meant. The first clash came on the frontier world of Halroz, a Federation mining colony settled by thousands of humans working alongside other races. The Malarians expected surrender within hours. Their warships descended, torching forests, collapsing cities with orbital bombardments, and flooding the valleys with armored troops. To them, it was not war but extermination. They broadcast messages of conquest across the open channels, mocking the idea that the Federation would resist. And at first, the Federation's defenses faltered. Alien allies retreated, their councils debating whether the planet was worth saving. Yet in the chaos, humanity did not scatter. Men and women, covered in ash and blood, emerged from the wreckage with whatever weapons they could find. Some carried rifles, others brandished tools turned into blades, and some hurled stones and burning fuel at the armored invaders. Against plasma cannons and energy shields, it looked like madness. But madness has its own power. A Malarian's ground commander, armored in shimmering plates, marched through the ruins expecting submission. Instead, he found resistance in the form of a single human woman who stepped into the street carrying nothing but a jagged length of rebar. Her clothes were torn, face smeared with soot, eyes burning with something the Malarians had never seen. She didn't fight for glory or empire, she fought because she refused to let her people die quietly. When his soldiers advanced, she didn't retreat. She roared, swinging the rebar with feral strength, shattering the faceplate of one invader before collapsing in a hail of plasma fire. The Malarians laughed, but the humans who witnessed her did not grieve in silence. Her defiance became a spark. Civilians turned into warriors overnight, striking from shadows, setting traps, refusing to surrender. Every alley became a battlefield. Every ruined building became a fortress. To the Malarians, this wasn't combat as they knew it. It was survival warfare, a kind of desperate ferocity that ignored pain and laughed at fear. One soldier named Marcus Kane led a group of miners and farmers through the underground tunnels of Halroz. With nothing but crude explosives made from fuel cells, they crippled an entire Malarian's armored column, collapsing a mountain road and sending alien war machines tumbling into fire. When the Malarians demanded his surrender, he answered with a human phrase that would echo across the galaxy: "We don't surrender, we adapt." The reports reached the alien admirals quickly. They had expected casualties in the hundreds. Instead, they were losing thousands. Their soldiers described humans as relentless, charging through smoke and shrapnel even after being wounded, fighting with blooded fists when their weapons failed. One commander wrote in his logs, "They do not fight like other species. Pain does not break them, it feeds them. Fear does not paralyze them, it hardens them. They turn every loss into a weapon." Still, the Malarians believed brute force would prevail. They unleashed biochemical weapons into the atmosphere, toxins designed to cripple weaker lungs. But humanity's history was filled with plagues and poisoned lands. The colonists dug into the earth, building shelters from scraps and filtering air with improvised systems. Many died, but those who lived emerged stronger, immune, ready to fight again. The aliens had given them scars, and humans turned those scars into armor. The turning point came during the siege of Halroz City. For weeks, the Malarians shelled the ruins, determined to bury the last human defenders. When their armies advanced into the cratered streets, they found themselves walking into a trap. From the shattered windows and broken sewers, humans poured out like shadows, striking with stolen weapons and homemade explosives. They did not fight in lines or formations. They fought as survivors, every man, woman, and child using whatever they had to carve into the invaders. A Malarian's general, towering in crimson armor, finally confronted Marcus Kane in the heart of the city. He declared that humanity's resistance was pointless, that weakness would always fall before strength. Marcus, bleeding from a dozen wounds, spat blood onto the rubble and smiled. You think we're weak? You mistake mercy for weakness. You mistake our scars for fragility. Let me teach you the difference. The battle that followed was chaos, brutal, close quarters, fueled by rage. Cain fought with a shattered blade, his men fighting with nothing but sharpened pipes and fists, dragging the general down in a storm of blows. When the alien commander fell, crushed beneath the hands of those he had mocked, the Malarians' line broke. They fled, abandoning the city to burning skies. Word spread across the Federation. The species once mocked as fragile had stood against an empire and refused to break. More than that, they had taught others what survival truly meant. On distant worlds, alien allies began to whisper that humanity's weakness was a myth. They had seen humans walk through fire, bleed without retreating, smile through agony. And in those smiles, they saw something terrifying, a will that could not be measured by biology or strength alone. The Malarians did not stop their war. They struck again and again, but each time, they were met with the same human fury. Soldiers turned defeat into tactics, civilians turned ruins into fortresses, and every scar made them stronger. What began as survival became something more. It became war, not the kind fought with fleets and armies, but the kind etched into the human spirit, the refusal to die quietly, the promise to fight until nothing was left standing. By the war's end, the Malarians would speak of humanity not with laughter, but with fear. They had set out to prove humans were weak. Instead, they had awakened a truth the galaxy would never forget. Humans may bleed, humans may burn, but when survival demands it, humanity becomes war itself.